Good afternoon. Welcome to All About Animals. I'm Sherry Gradator, and my guest today is Carrie Myers, who is the founder and president of an organization called the Puppy Mill Project. Carrie, what's a puppy mill?
Puppy Mill is a commercial breeding facility that breeds dogs for profit. That's what they do, without any care, welfare, interest in or careful breeding regarding the dogs. It's purely based on profit. Some are big, some are small, but they're out there. And right now there could be up to 10,000 puppy mills in this country.
And they're all producing puppies. Where are those puppies sold?
Those are sold in pet stores. 99% of the puppies in a pet store come from a puppy mill. They are on the internet. They're in newspaper ads. They're everywhere.
Yeah. So if I were in the market for a purebred whatever, doesn't matter, and I did not want to buy from a puppy mill, how would I go about getting a dog?
Well,
Now, remember, I'm saying purebred. I'm not saying adopt, because we all know that
right.
Adoption's my thing. But say I wanted
mine
a
too,
purebred,
and I would
okay.
say go to a breed-specific rescue that has the breed that you're looking for.
I want an 8-week-old miniature poodle puppy.
Okay, then you are required to do your homework, find a responsible breeder, and when I say that, people they're deceived when they think they need to have a USDA breeder's license. And I just want to make it clear that if that's ever included in the spiel from your breeder that you find, run as fast as you can, because that means it's a commercial breeding facility. Responsible private breeders do not have USDA licenses.
Okay.
They also let you come to their homes. You at least meet the mother of the puppy. Sometimes the father's there. That would be great too. They will always, you are required to return that puppy to the breeder. If there's something wrong or you decide you don't like it, they will always take it back. You will have a contract. You will know everything that you need to know. They want to know more about you than you do about them. So in order to find them, basically you go to the AKC and see who they recommend. I mean, I'm not totally in love with the AKC right now either.
Because the AKC also certifies puppies that come out of puppy mills.
They sit at the auctions, literally, and for $25, they will certify any dog that comes out of it. The dog could have 2 heads, and they will, But in terms of finding the responsible breeders, that's really what you have. You have to do your homework.
Animal clubs, too.
Yes.
If you want a Shih Tzu, find a Shih Tzu club. If you want a Bouvier, find a Bouvier club, because they do know who the responsible breeders are.
Exactly. So those are the red flags. When you can't go to the home, or they'll deliver them to you in a parking lot, or you can't see where that dog is coming from, you have to run as fast as you can. Okay,
now what's bad about puppy mill dogs?
Well, they have all kinds of problems because they are not socialized. Let's go back to the beginning. We're breeding mom. This mom is in a cage her whole life. These are dogs that never get out of a cage. I mean, I always like to start when I give a lecture or I'm talking to a group and say, picture your dog, that dog's face, and put it in a cage. Now give that dog 6 inches of room in every direction. That's where that dog's going to spend its whole life breeding. That's the mom. The dogs, the dads get out a little more often, but they're also in there. So they're in a cage. They're taken out to breed only. And then they're stuffed right back in that cage. They do not walk on the ground. They don't know what grass is. Nobody touches them. They get adequate food and water, which is always up to interpretation. They are not groomed. They are not vetted. And they are bred indiscriminately. So you are having puppies churned out, at least 500,000 into the system, probably more every year, that have mental problems, that have psychological problems. They have myriad of health problems, so many health problems. And then they're taken away from their mothers way too young, so they're not socialized. They're not taught how to be puppies. They don't know they're puppies. And then they're sent to the pet stores, or these breeders sell them on the internet. They put them on a little
Craigslist.
piece of red cloth with a bow in their hair, and have all this fantasy world around them. And that's not the way it is. They try and give you the impression these are puppies growing up and they're in a basket in front of a fireplace in a lovely home. This is not it. There are cages and cages of dogs lined up, sometimes in dark barns, sometimes outside in the elements.
Not air conditioned,
No.
not heated,
No,
no air circulation.
No.
Piles of feces.
correct.
Yes.
Correct. You can see, I mean, I've been on the end of a rescue, and you can see the urine burns on their paws. I mean, this is, it's beyond anything that you can even imagine. And, you know, these dogs, we do this, we're human beings. We are making these dogs sick. We are doing it to them. We just were on the end of a rescue, 8 dogs from a mill. And someone called us, and we had to have, we're not a rescue, but we had to facilitate this. And one of the dogs that was rescued, a little poodle guy, we wound up having, he was maybe 8, 9, 10, we don't know how old he was, a breeding boy, a broken jaw, which the vet said probably had been there for at least 6 months. This dog lived like this, in the most incredible amount of pain.
And filth.
And filth, and it just, can you imagine living with a broken jaw? But that's nothing. I mean, this is common. They don't vet them, they don't check them, and people are fooled and deceived. You go into a pet store, and the people are scripted to say that work in there, oh, these aren't from a puppy mill. These are commercial breeders with USDA licenses that we've inspected, hand-picked puppies.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
No.
So it's consumer fraud, which is one of the things that we work on.
So, okay, now we've established what a puppy mill dog is and what a puppy mill is. What is your organization working on doing?
Well, we're out there doing so much. One of the things that we do is to educate. We go into the schools, we're at expos, we are everywhere that possible to educate the people, because over 70% of the population does not know what a puppy mill is, and that's pretty scary.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
The daughter of a very dear friend of mine bought a Doberman puppy off of Craigslist.
Oh, gosh.
Yes, that came to her, was dropped in a rest area on the tollway
There
at
you go.
midnight.
There you go.
Midnight. And the dog had distemper, and the dog was purportedly 8 weeks old. And if the dog was a day over 5 weeks old, I'm a glass jar full of pickles.
Yeah.
They did keep the dog alive, and he lived for a year, and then he got a horrendous cancer, and he died.
This is what people do not understand it. So, but our job is to educate people to know when you go into that pet store, this is what you're getting. You have vet bills that are going to come. You have a dog that is far from being normal. On some level, some way, that dog is going to have an issue. And the mill dogs, the mill dogs, when we rescue them, they have problems from the mistreatment and the cruelty that they've endured for years. So our job is to educate. That's one of the things we do. Another thing we do is to, we protest outside of the stores.
Been there, done that.
Yep, and we absolutely have closed 4 stores already. So we do that, and we're working on legislation. We have just written a ban an ordinance to ban the sale of cats and dogs in the city of Chicago, and we're going to be helping to write some legislation in a statewide legislation. So we're busy. We're busy.
I'd love to see legislation that required that every animal that was sold in the state of Illinois came with a piece of paper that identified where it was from, where it was bred, and who the breeder was.
Well, let me address that, because in the pet stores right now, there is a state law. It is not being followed. If you go into a pet store now, every dog or cat that's in there is supposed to have a piece of paper doing exactly that. The pet stores are not following that because they know there's nobody minding the store. Nobody's going to come in and reprimand them or give them the ticket or find out if they are actually following the law. I mean, this is a state law, like a seatbelt law. It's not up for interpretation. So they're not doing that. The other thing that we do is we do track where these dogs are coming from and cats. If they cross the state line to come into a pet store in Illinois, there's a health certificate with it. We can tell you exactly where that dog came from. If a pet store in Illinois buys from a breeder, which we have found 30 commercial breeders in the state of Illinois that we know of, then you can't find out about that. The pet store, there's no tracking record, in other words. So it's the honor system, honor among thieves.
Oh, wonderful.
So that's another thing we're going to work on, that something needs to be in place. So we can tell you, right now, 15,000 dogs were sold in the state of Illinois last year. That's probably half of it. But if they came from in-state, we don't know how many. You have to go to the breeder, you have to cross-reference with a business license from the pet store, and see what happens.
And your consumer's not going to be able to do that.
No.
So the smart consumer simply stays away from the pet shops, the Craigslists, the newspapers, and the internet, because the bottom line and what people aren't, okay, you're going to buy an animal that could be sick. You're going to buy an animal that's not been socialized. You're going to buy an animal that has some sort of messed up mind from the way that it was raised. But worse than that, every time you buy a puppy mill dog, you're encouraging the puppy mill to make more dogs.
Well, that's it.
And it is the height of cruelty what they do to
that's
these
it.
dogs.
I mean, if you're buying a dog or a cat, and why you would, I don't know, we have enough to last a lifetime, you are contributing directly to animal cruelty. Directly.
And
There's
you don't
no-
know it, and you think you're loving. You take your kids and they love this little puppy, and you think you're doing a good thing. You're getting it out of the pet shop. You're not. You're encouraging the puppy mill to make more. And we're running out of time, believe it or not. I mean, it's gone awfully quickly. I want to stop here. I want to ask you, if you had a wish list for the organization, what would be on it?
Well, always more money so we can educate more people. Volunteers, always need volunteers. Protesters, fantastic amount of protesters that we have, but there are so many pet stores that we need to get to. And people just to help us, with the legislation, if you're interested, get involved. There's so many ways to help our organization. We're having a fabulous pet walk, October 21st in Highland Park at Fink Park. You can go on our website and register. 100% of all the money that we make goes to education and helping the mill dogs and the mothers in the mills.
So, give them a website, a phone number, some way that people can get in touch with you.
thepuppymillproject.org. You can get on our website, go on our Facebook page, all the information for the walk and what's going on and what events that we will be at.
And there is a contact us where they can get in touch with you and say, we want to volunteer.
Absolutely.
And there is an address where if they want to send money, it will be accepted?
We always accept, yes.
Okay, terrific. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
educating us, for coming out. I hope you have tons and tons of people at the pet walk. And we're now going to take you to Save a Pet and show you some of the dogs and cats, and there are lots of them that are waiting to be adopted.